1300 KSET, Southeast Texas First News, 820 out there. It is 40 degrees. In the studios with us is Rebecca Stark-Nugent, the author of If the Devil Had a Wife, A True Texas Tale. And for those of you who have been living under a rock, because that's the only way you can not know about this book if you listen to this radio station, let me read it on the back here. The justice system has long held a place of respect in the Stark household, but no more. What began innocently enough as a family history now possessed all the elements of a Texas-sized mystery. And indeed it is a Texas-sized mystery. Good morning, Rebecca.
Good morning. How are y'all?
We're doing good. So, you got some places where people can get the book because you're going to be out and about.
Right.
Where would that be?
Well, locally in the Beaumont area, La Ti Da over on Dowling Road sells the book, as does Delta Downs over in Benton, Louisiana.
Okay, if you're looking for La Ti Da, folks, it's right next to Madison's. Easy enough
and
to find
Hobby Lobby,
Hobby Lobby there.
And then there's also...
We know where the bars are.
Yeah. And then it's sold at Oasis Coffee House and Cafe in Bridge City.
Okay.
The Bayou Trading Company, they're relocating to Houston, but they'll be open, I think, the 1st of April in the North Houston area.
Now, I have talked about this book on the air. I mean, it took me, when you gave it to me, I mean, I went through it in a weekend.
Right.
And it was one of those things that when I looked at this book and I read it, the first thing that I could think of was, oh my, this ought to be a movie because all of the elements are there. I mean, we're talking about intrigue. We're talking about murder. We're talking about people stealing things and hiding things and people doing all kinds of evil and your efforts to discover what actually was going on in this book.
Well, and a lot of people, the reactions I got from the book, the two primary things people would say is, I couldn't put it down, and it needs to be a movie.
That's it. So,
today, I wanted to tell, people who, on Facebook especially, I keep saying, I've been up to something or we're working on something.
Oh, hold on just a second. We are recording this, aren't we? Okay, thank you. I just wanted to make sure.
Yeah. I love it.
All right. So back to the...
Well, and I know there are days when they think, well, she's not posting very much, or I wonder what she's up to, or, what... And in reality, what happened is we haven't signed a movie contract or anything, but in early October, a gentleman who read the book approached us about doing a documentary.
Ooh, okay.
And what started out as just a 30-minute, deal. Once he went to Orange and started filming and meeting some of the people involved, it's now going to be a 90-minute documentary. And we've been filming the last 3 to 4 months.
Fantastic.
And I'm really excited because
I bet
the company in charge of it, which I'd rather not, because it seems that when I identify people, they get phone calls or emails and stuff.
Threats.
A little pressure. Kind of like the folks saying we're not going to advertise on your radio station if you talk about her book.
Yeah. Well.
Well, and I know newspaper reporters and TV reporters have sent me emails and made phone calls that they get phone calls.
Oh, sure.
And don't do it.
Sure.
Yeah, they don't have the guts to answer the questions. All these people that make these little phone calls, all they're trying to do is hide the information. They and I have never, let me make it clear to the audience out there, I have never said I believe 100% that everything in this book is true, though I do. I have not put it out there that, you have to believe this because it's true. All I have ever said over and over is you've got to read this book because you can't put it down. Once you start, it is a great story. It's a great story, and you need to look at it. But now I'll just come out and say it. It's a great story. I believe it's true, and people need to hear this story because this is the story of how I feel the city of Orange almost was destroyed by one family.
And, after we talked about the book, I stopped getting press releases from a certain someone.
From a certain company, a certain group of people.
That might be.
I know.
Foundation.
And so... it's just really amazing to me,
and
that those kind of tactics exist still in the world today in 2011.
I know, but it actually, the book is just kind of like a miniature version of it's relevant to people all over the country because things, on a grander scale and a smaller scale are happening all over the place because people are so greedy.
And things aren't as they seem.
No, they're not as they say.
And if you read this book, you'll know exactly what we're talking about, because what's left in Orange right now? I mean, really, what's left in Orange? Business-wise, it's been decimated from what it was in the 20s and the 30s and the 40s, even the 50s.
Right.
And it's sad because
It is.
Orange was a huge, thriving town.
I know. Have you seen
a
the
big
pictures?
city.
The pictures in that book.
Well, Orange was a great place to grow up. And
It was.
it's very sad when you come back. One thing that bothered me is just a few weeks ago I learned that the foundation is no longer giving grants, awarding grants to outside groups, that they are now an operational foundation, which means that they only give money to themselves for their own charitable activities. And I think there is an exception that should the board something be of particular interest to them, they can award a grant. But so all
No
the
scholarships anymore? No.
I'm sure the Stark scholarship would probably keep, but they said that unless it's identified by a particular, by the board,
Right.
and so they are not accepting grant applications any longer.
Oh, okay. So basically,
Strange.
it's called we're trying to keep all the money for ourselves so we can continue doing what we've been doing, which, I
But
don't know.
another thing that I did
Mhm.
during the last few months, actually 5.5 years ago, I put in a public information request to the Attorney General's Office of Texas.
Right.
Because in all my research, it was curious to me how the Attorney General could just automatically believe one side of the story without hearing from the other side.
They do that.
And so
Yeah, they
I
do.
put in a public information request for all the correspondence between the Stark Foundation and the Attorney General's office. And it's been 5.5 years.
Still haven't seen it.
Well, actually, on December 29th, I did.
Oh, okay.
And they told me for the longest time that there was pending litigation, although they could never seem to identify what that pending litigation was.
Mhm.
And I had to put a second request in, and I saw some documents in January of last year. But then there was some confusion on to what copies they sent me, so I had to resubmit a request. And I was allowed to review the documents on December 29th.
And what did you find?
Wow.
Oh.
Wow.
Uh-huh.
There are some email exchanges that are, to me, highly unprofessional, and that, of course, is just my opinion,
Mhm.
between the lawyers for the Stark Foundation and the Attorney General's office.
Well, when are we going to get to see these in print?
Whoa.
Well, they'll be mentioned in the documentary.
Oh, okay.
But I can give you an example.
Oh, well, that'd be
in,
great.
in one of them, and I actually used my phone to take pictures of some of the documents in case
Yeah.
They
they
disappeared.
disappeared.
Yeah.
They referred to the Assistant Attorney General of Louisiana as a not a buffoon or a bozo, but something similar to that. But I have it on my iPhone. I can show you later.
Okay.
Wow.
But I just thought it was very unprofessional to kind of take jabs at
Yeah.
somebody who was just there doing his job. And
Folks, if you don't know this story, we'll talk about it. Jana needs to do a news update here.
Yeah.
And
Me and Jasper.
we will come back. Yeah, you and Jasper. And that dog is just
he
so
precious?
Okay, so tell you what, let's take a pause here on AM 1300 KSCT. Jana will do the local update. Come here, Jasper. You're going to get some more love over here because we all love you. Yes, we do. Time now for the latest local news just ahead of your CBS update. Here's Jana Stone.